I don't know if you know about the Bonehead of the Week segment, but we have a poll every week, and these are our contestants today. And we just went through Mr. Pena and his boneheadedness, why he was on the Bonehead of the Week poll. But there's an attorney on here, and you were tweeting about this story this morning, and there's been developments in it because last night we found out that Miss Haba, the attorney for Donald Trump in the lawsuit against Hillary Clinton, and I believe it's 30 other people, but I hope you can educate us on this. She made her way on Bonehead of the Week here, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show to tell us and give us the rundown of what's going on, because this story is developing as we're pretty much on the air here. So do we have this wrong? Is it 30 people with Hillary or 30 people plus Hillary in this lawsuit that they got these sanctions on? Tell us about that.
Yep, total 31 people. Hillary is one of them. And there are 30 other defendants besides Hillary Clinton. And the basic rundown is that, a while ago, Donald Trump decided to put this lawsuit together to sue Hillary, the Orrs, McCabe, Pete Strzok, Comey, anybody who investigated him in the Russia.
Any buzzword name, right? Any buzzword name that is
any trending topic on Twitter and Google. He was like, "That's a good one. I'll take that."
Yeah, let's throw that one in. Why not?
Yeah, and he was basically didn't really have any cause of action. It was a big political gripe that Russia was a hoax and they were trying to take me down in the 2016 election, even though he won the 2016 election. So there's really no harm here. And there's really what is he seeking? There was nothing legal about it. And Haba's firm put that lawsuit together. And it was absolute rubbish. And Russia.
Russia rubbish. They kind of go hand in hand, don't they? Well.
So he filed that lawsuit. He went judge shopping. He went down and filed in Palm Beach.
That's a typical Trump move there.
Where Judge Eileen Cannon is. And he also shopped his lawsuit to get the special master appointed. And he actually ended up getting Eileen Cannon in the special master case, in the classified documents case. But he drew Judge Middlebrooks instead, which they're randomly assigned, right? And Middlebrooks got this case and basically, dismissed it and said, you guys, by the way, Hillary et al., you should file sanctions. And they did. And yesterday, about a month and a half ago, one of the defendants was awarded about $65,000 to, $15,000 for lawyers' fees and $50,000 fine for the court sanctions.
So this was the first sanctions, not this last portion of almost $1 million. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And yesterday he tacked on $937,000 to that amount.
So we're almost at exactly $1 million. I mean, we're really close. I feel like we could call this $1 million.
I feel like, it's like when you check out and they're like, would you like to round up for this organization? Let's just round it up to $1 million.
Yeah. You could do that whole pay yourself forward with the wallet thing where when you buy something at the grocery store and they give the change in your savings account. So maybe what we do is just make it $1 million. They can put it in a savings account for maybe future sanctions that they'll have. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Because that's the breaking news.
What's extra hilarious is that the same day that first guy was awarded sanctions of about, $60,000, he went judge shopping again and filed a lawsuit against Letitia James of New York, the New York Attorney General. And he was trying to get Judge Eileen Cannon. And again, he ended up with Middlebrooks. And I laughed and I laughed. And I said that day, a couple months ago, I'm like, you might want to drop that lawsuit because you're going to get hit with more sanctions in the Hillary suit. And lo and behold, yesterday they were hit with $1 million, almost $1 million in sanctions. And I said, wow, now Alina Habba, will you drop your Letitia James lawsuit?
Yeah, here's the tweet from 15 hours ago. You said, so Habba might want to drop the suit before they're hit with more sanctions. Ha 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 ha. That was you laughing, apparently. And then this morning, your wish came true. And by the way, happy birthday, because what a birthday!
Oh, happy birthday!
Morning. Yeah. I didn't know that until I went to your page this morning and the balloons came up, and I read that you were talking about so happy birthday. This is a great birthday gift for you, correct?
It's a wonderful birthday present.
It was a nice 15-hour. You were waiting for it, and then you were given it this morning.
It took 12 hours. But they withdrew their lawsuit against Tish James. They didn't say why, but I think it's pretty clear. And, what's interesting is the $1 million isn't just for Alina Habba. It is severally against Donald Trump and Alina Habba. And the judge said, y'all can figure out how much each of you are going to pay.
So the judge isn't defining who has to pay what amount.
He's like, you just got to pay it. I don't care who gives it to me, pay it.
My guess is here that you're going to tweet about this soon on the Mueller She Wrote account. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. I bet you're going to tweet something that Donald Trump is going to try to get out of paying every single penny of this almost $1 million would be my guess. And we're probably going to be proved correct.
I've actually already tweeted at Alina Habba that it might be a good idea for her to file suit against Trump.
That would not be a frivolous lawsuit. That would actually probably be one that has merit, and that a judge maybe she could get canon. Maybe she could get canon in that case. Who knows?
She probably doesn't know how to file a lawsuit that has actual damages attached to it.
Oh man!
But I advised her. I said, "Hey, I'm not a lawyer, but you might want to think about filing suit against Donald Trump to ensure that he pays his fair share of those sanctions. Otherwise, you're going to get left holding the bag, you and your firm, because they can garnish the firm that she belongs to."
And that's what I was just going to ask. So if let's say Donald Trump tells Habba, where to stick it, which he does every single attorney that he has almost, unless they get their payment up front. And they end up losing their law license. So is there a situation here where if she doesn't pay this or the firm doesn't pay this, is her law license at risk here at all? I mean, this is a typical storyline with Donald Trump, but do we know if Alina Habba even if you consider her a lawyer now, but will she be a lawyer in the future if she can't afford to pay this $1 million? Because I know how bar associations work. Sometimes if you're sanctioned like this and you can't pay it, they won't allow you to practice law. Is that correct?
Yeah, and even if she does pay it, she's in her law license is in jeopardy. It just takes a really long time, and it would be up to Hillary et al. And their law firms and their lawyers to file for a bar review, right? Other types of sanctions besides just monetary, and that takes a really long time. Like, we know Rudy Giuliani is still being investigated by the New York bar. Although his law license has been suspended in New York and DC.
Meaning he can't practice until that review is done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and probably not even after that, because what happened is they sat down with they're like, all right, let's start investigating. And they opened up the first page and went, can I swear on this show?
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck yeah. Hells to the yeah.
They opened up the first page and went, holy shit, this is so bad. And he is so egregious and he is so terrible. We need to suspend his law license now, pending the outcome of this investigation. Normally you investigate and then decide whether you're going to suspend somebody's law license. But they were like, this is so bad. We have to suspend it pending this investigation. And that investigation is still ongoing. He's had his hearing, but that's how long it takes. It can take a couple of years for a bar association to remove somebody's law license. But I see a similar future for Alina Habba. If they sit down to investigate and open up the first page and go, holy shit, she's terrible, we have to suspend her law license pending the outcome of this investigation. I think we could see that too. But she doesn't even have to miss paying that $1 million for that to happen. She just has to be a terrible, horrible, awful, no good lawyer, which she is.
Well, I mean, there's a whole list of these horrible, awful, no good lawyers that Donald Trump associates.
He seems to be he collects a misfit of lawyers that either say it's like an overdue library book, or they come up with something else where it's just absolutely insane. Where even the person who is not a lawyer or of legal stature who is watching is like, this is fucking ridiculous. What is going on?
I mean, does it really take a good lawyer to understand how unlawyer like these people are? It doesn't really, right? I mean,
no, I'm not a lawyer, and I can see it. So,
well, yeah. the thing that gets me, one more thing before we go that I want you to comment on, because I think this is the most mockable part of all this, other than just Habba is walked into traps here with Trump by putting herself in jeopardy and her law license in jeopardy by even associating with him. But we know Donald Trump has grifted for legal funds before. So, and I would imagine that Gabe Sanchez, he gets the emails like hey, give me the thing and I'll do the 10X thing. And he tries to keep track of this.
Yeah, I luckily don't get emails. I get a bunch of text messages.
Oh, that's what it is. Text messages. That's what it is. That's what it is. Because he wants to keep up with the grift that's going on. But my question to the grift is, and this is the hilarious part to me, because I'm sure there are emails, there are text messages, there's some stuff out there that shows that Donald Trump was grifting for legal funds to sue Hillary, right? Mm-hmm. Now, he did the frivolous lawsuit with his supporters' money, and they threw it out, and now they are sanctioned to pay $1 million. He's probably not going to pay a nickel. He'll make Haba pay it all. But my guess is if it hasn't happened already, there is already a grift email or already a grift text message asking to pay the deep state's fines on him that are the $1 million, and he's going to grift his supporters for this $1 million, which he will keep the $1 million. He will not pay. He'll probably make Haba pay. I mean, this is a Trump thing. You know, he is the OG Santos, as we call him here on the Tony Michaels podcast. He's the OG Santos. So what do you think? Do you think we're already in a position where he's using this to grift money? I mean, this is the biggest joke that is of the Trump universe. But do you think he's already using this loss that he has, because he is the biggest loser, to grift his supporters at this point? I mean, maybe not.
He might, but that would be an exceedingly bad idea. Not that he hasn't taken on exceedingly bad ideas before. But we have learned, he is now currently under criminal investigation by the new special counsel, Jack Smith, specifically around a subpoenas went out asking about the money raised on the big lie and what it's being spent on, and whether or not it's being spent on lawyers for witnesses against him in other investigations. Like Passantino, who used to represent Cassidy Hutchinson, for example, until she went, "You fucking don't care about me, you're fired," and got a new lawyer, and then testified truthfully, or fully, I should say, because she didn't really lie. She just sort of was told to say she couldn't recall things. And so Trump was raising money off the big lie to pay lawyers to tell people to support perjury, to lie to the grand jury or to the 1-6 committee. So
we also found out with the 1-6 committee that there was a legal defense fund that never even existed in the first place. It wasn't even a real,
exactly what I'm talking
real entity. Right.
Yeah. It was created the day after the election, before Joe Biden was declared the winner. It raised $250 million. So it would behoove Trump not to take $1 million of that fraudulently raised money and spend it on this sanctions fine.
Oh, you still think he has any of that $250 million left? Oh my gosh, you have a lot more confidence in his finances than I do. I think he goes through money more than he goes.
Could he? So
at this point,
do you know? Could he pay? Because he's got his Save America PAC, right? And then it's all a shell game. He's got another one that he made right before the midterms, and then he made another one that was like literally right before. And he's moving money around, obviously, because there's a whole idea of like, oh well, I can absorb one into the other, and then I can use it for personal reasons and not actually have it to use it for the midterms like I promised I was going to do. So can he use any of that money that's in the Save America PAC to pay off this $1 million? No, he can't. Okay, beautiful.
No,
he'll try probably, but yeah.
And it's just like Santos using a 501c3 to raise money for a PAC and then paying DeVolder and then having a big giant campaign donation to himself. You aren't allowed to do that. It's an FEC. It's a campaign finance violation. And by the way, a lot of $625,000 of that Santos money came from InTrader, Victor Vekselberg's cousin, who is a Russian an oligarch connected.
It's always Russia.
Always Russia. Always bank. Always goes back. But Allison, thank you for joining us. Please give us a plug here. You got anything that you want to plug? Anything coming up, or what do you got?
Just check out our network, mswmedia.com, and listen to the new podcast, Jack. It's Andy McCabe and I, and we break down the special counsel Jack Smith investigation. And there's a lot of new news that is kind of flying under the radar because of the BS that the legacy media keeps talking about over and over again. So that would be my plug. Please go and listen and subscribe to the Jack podcast.
Well, thank you for joining us, and everyone go check out the Jack podcast. With you and Andrew McCabe. Thank you, Allison, for joining us. I know it was quick this morning, and I appreciate your promptness on this and getting us the lead on this Haba story. So thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. You're the very first guest on the Bonehead of the Week segment of the Tony Michaels podcast. So thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Everybody, thanks for joining us for this segment of Bonehead of the Week. What a great history-making segment here on the Tony Michaels podcast and Bonehead Week. It's great to have Allison Gill from Mueller, She Wrote, to give us an update on Habit. We should have more guests on the Bonehead of the Week. I'm thinking, like, I never thought of it before. It was always me and you doing the thing, but hey, it worked out great having a guest on.
Bonehead of the Week. A little insight, drop a little knowledge.
Worked out perfect. And you know that Bonehead of the Week is every single Friday here on the Tony Michaels podcast and clipped to the MeidasTouch network. So make sure to follow at the Tony Michaels podcast. Just go to the Tony Michaels podcast on YouTube. Subscribe there. We are live every single weekday, Monday through Friday for 2 full hours. But every Friday in the second hour, we break down the Bonehead of the Week where you vote. You decide who is the Bonehead of the Week. Here's how you vote, Gabe Sanchez. You go to YouTube, you go to the community tab after you have subscribed, and you vote for Bonehead of the Week every Thursday. You can also vote on Twitter. Just follow at Tony Michaels Pod. That's at Tony Michaels Pod on Twitter. Don't forget to download every single episode. But Friday, you can download the episode with Bonehead of the Week. In the second hour of the Tony Michaels podcast, don't forget to subscribe. Again, I know I'm saying 100 times. But that's me being good at YouTube. Subscribe. So go to the Tony Michaels podcast on YouTube. Subscribe. Also, if you're on a MeidasTouch network right now, make sure to hit subscribe down there as well. Every single Friday, Bonehead of the Week. What name did you come up with for
so the Scamturian? I'm going to design something.
Candidate.
But that's the Scamturian candidate. But then there's also Santurian candidate.
Santurian candidate.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go Santurian Santurian candidate.
Santurian candidate.
Santurian candidate.
Well, Gabe Sanchez tweeted that out, so go find that. Go follow him on Twitter as well. And I am Gabe Sanchez. You can follow me at the Tony Michaels on Twitter. Don't forget to follow our podcast account at the Tony Michaels Pod to vote every single week for Bonehead of the Week, because that's what this segment is. That's what you've been watching. Thanks for joining us in this edition of Bonehead of the Week.